My name is Brittany Bassant, and I'm the Executive Director for ChamberSOUTH. Thank you so much for joining us today. My pleasure to have you all present for our Lunch with Leaders series with our keynote speaker today, Mr. Michael Finney from the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. It's also my pleasure to introduce the host of today's event, our chairwoman for the Board of Directors for ChamberSOUTH, Daylin Rodriguez. Daylin, if you can start your video. Daylin, you're on mute.
There you go. Hopefully you can hear me now. Welcome and thank you for joining us today for our April Lunch with Leaders series featuring Michael Finney. A few housekeeping rules for everyone. Everyone will stay on mute for the presentation, but you can enter any questions in the chat. And if we have time towards the end of the session, we will certainly ask those questions of our speaker. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce David Ramirez, who's Senior Vice President of Business Banking Solutions Direct and Team Leader for the South Florida market. David is a 20-year veteran who has worked in various capacities with expertise in consumer lending, retail banking, and for the last 10 years has been focused on serving the needs of business banking and commercial clients in South Florida. David joined Truist 3.5 years ago and currently leads a team of business banking relationship managers that cover the Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach markets. His team's focus is to serve the needs of small business community with the purpose to inspire and build better lives and communities. And before we hear from David, here's a short video welcoming Truist. Okay, thank you for the video. I think we lost some of the sound there, but I think, David, you can tell us a little bit more about Truist.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daylin. The video doesn't do as much justice without the sound. But so good afternoon, team. Again, my name is David Ramirez. I'm the Senior Vice President, Team Leader for the South Florida Business Banking team here at Truist. It's an honor today for me to be here and speak on behalf of Truist at this event as the event sponsor. And although I wish I could be there in person to meet you all, I understand we need to do what's necessary to be safe as we navigate these unprecedented times. I'd like to thank Michael Finney, our featured guest speaker from the Beacon Council, all the members of ChamberSOUTH that made this event possible, and to you, our attendees, for your participation today. This is going to be a great event, and we're happy to partner with ChamberSOUTH to make this possible. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Truist and who we are. For those of you that don't know, Truist was the bank that was formed through the merger between BB&T and SunTrust back in December of 2019. Now, this merger was the first major bank merger post-financial crisis and was a huge milestone for our companies. As we embark deeper into the digital age, both our heritage companies recognized the evolving needs of our clients and saw an opportunity to better serve our clients by joining forces. We brought together these two established, trusted companies for one combined purpose. And that purpose is simply to inspire and build better lives and communities. The purpose is what drives us at Truist, and it's at the core of every decision that we make as an organization. By combining our capabilities, we were able to create efficiencies which are being invested into furthering our focus around touch, technology, and building trust with our clients so that we can have an impact, increase our positive impact that we have in the communities that we serve. By combining BB&T's community bank model with the strength of SunTrust strategic advisory capabilities, we're able to develop a unique model that gives our clients access to teams with local market coverage, local decision-making abilities, while providing support, depth, and breadth that you would find at an advisory bank with many more resources. In short, we're able to offer a local community bank feel while having access of the resources of a much larger firm. It's a win-win for all, our clients, our stakeholders, and our communities, and it's a huge differentiator for us. Now, over the next several months and leading into the first half of 2022, we're going to continue pushing forward in bringing these two companies together as we continue to form Truist. You may have already noticed that some of our local branches have already begun the initial steps of the transition with co-branded locations and teams showing BB&T and SunTrust together. We're also going to be working on deploying a new Truist digital experience in the second half of this year. The Truist digital experience is an expression of our commitment to the technology component of our technology, touch, and trust formula. We're going to be really focused on creating a new digital client experience that's going to use modern technologies such as AI, machine learning, and other technologies to improve our interactions with clients and make it easier to do business with us through a variety of platforms. Now, we made good progress in these transition efforts, and we're on track to complete the merger in the first half of 2022. And this is good news. Over time, you're going to continue to see the changeover of the Truist branding, products, and services. We're committed to making this as seamless as possible for our clients, and we're going to be closely monitoring the conversion experience to ensure that we continue to delight our clients and as we build our new bank. We're really excited about where we are and where we're headed. And now that you know a little bit more about Truist, I want to tell you about some of the good work that we're doing through the Truist Foundation. Truist Foundation was formed by BB&T and SunTrust to embody the purpose that we set forth to inspire and build better lives. The Truist Foundation partners with strong, innovative nonprofit organizations to increase their impact and expand their reach, and focuses on 4 key areas. Leadership development, which focuses on empowering nonprofit and community-based leaders. Economic mobility, which supports the areas of financial education and workforce development. Thriving communities works on building up our communities through affordable housing, economic development, and neighborhood revitalization efforts. And lastly, educational equity. This focuses on transforming education in underserved communities. Year to date in 2021, the Truist Foundation has already provided 21 grants totaling $365,000. And to date, since inception in 2020, the Truist Foundation has provided 64 grants totaling over $1.4 million. We've still got a lot more that we want to do here at Truist and the Truist Foundation, and we look forward to our continued support of these initiatives. I hope that you enjoy the presentation today. Thank you for joining us. Daylen, back to you.
Thank you, David, again for your comments. And I think we're going to attempt the video one more time.
BB&T and SunTrust are now Truist, together for better.
Perfect, thank you. And it's 2 very strong community banks that are coming together. So I'm sure Truist is going to be a major player in our community and continue to be one. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Michael Finney, President and CEO of the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. The Miami-Dade Beacon Council is the official economic development organization for Miami-Dade County. Its mission is to increase jobs and investment through marketing Miami as a world-class business destination, help grow local companies, and shape Miami-Dade's economic future. Since 1985, the nonprofit public-private partnership has assisted more than 1,200 businesses to expand in or relocate to Miami-Dade, creating almost 74,000 direct jobs and driving more than $6.7 billion in new capital investments. As President and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Finney champions the county's efforts to market Miami-Dade as a world-class business destination. He collaborates with key stakeholders, including Miami-Dade County and other local governments, CareerSource South Florida, the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Miami-Dade Council of Chambers, and key private sector leaders throughout the community. Prior to his current role, Mike served Michigan Governor Rick Snyder as Senior Advisor for Economic Growth and President and CEO of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, or MEDC. Under Mike's leadership, the MEDC moved to the forefront of U.S. economic development organizations with innovative new initiatives, including Pure Michigan Business Connect, Community Ventures, and the revitalized Pure Michigan Tourism Campaign. It is my great pleasure to welcome Michael Finney.
Thanks, Daylen. And good afternoon, everyone. It's really a pleasure to have an opportunity to share a brief update on what's been happening with the Beacon Council and some of the economic development activities throughout the county. I think we all know that we've been in this incredible crisis for the last 12 plus months. But the good news is that there are a lot of positives that are coming out of this. And I hope to share some of those with you today and provide, I think, a sense of direction with respect to where we are. Let me share my screen. So bear with me for a couple of seconds here. Okay, so first of all, again, it's really a pleasure to be able to be with you and to share what Beacon Council has been doing. Let's see if this is going to work. There we go. And so what I thought I'd do is maybe start off by just providing a little bit of background on Beacon Council. I trust that most of you are familiar with us and the work that we've been doing, and certainly the introduction provided some context. So I'll go through this fairly quick, but happy to answer any questions that you may have at the end. So Beacon Council serves as the official economic development partner for Miami-Dade County. We've been around since 1985, and so I guess we're in our 36th year. And that gives you some sense of the staying power the organization has and the impact that we've had over the years. 35 years in the community doing economic development work in support of all of Miami-Dade County. We're a public-private partnership that's focused on job creation and bringing additional investment to Miami-Dade County. We're one of only 65 organizations in the United States that have been accredited through our professional association, the International Economic Development Council. And then we have just broad community-wide support from more than 150 members and more than 1,000 other partners here in Miami-Dade County. So a little bit about our view and our approach. Our vision is relatively straightforward. Positioning Miami as a world-class community where businesses can, in fact, thrive. But our strategy falls into three basic areas: market, grow, and shape. And that's the best way to remember the work that we do. From a market standpoint, we are the organization that's telling the world that Miami-Dade County is a great place for business growth and expansion. So we're the primary business marketers of Miami to the rest of the world. In the growth space, what we're trying to do is help existing companies. Often we hear that existing businesses don't get nearly the kind of support that a new arrival will get. And so part of our work is focused on helping to ensure that existing businesses also get the exact same support that we provide to new arrivals. And you'll see a little bit more in terms of support in the coming slides. And then shaping the future of Miami-Dade County is really about what are we going to be 5 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out? What kind of efforts should we be focused on in order to ensure that we continue to be a thriving community? So a lot of the work that's going on right now that's focused around technology and other sectors is work that we're actively engaged in as a way of shaping the future of Miami-Dade County. So here's just a sampling of the ways that we can be helpful to existing businesses that are looking to grow, as well as new companies that are coming to Miami-Dade County. And most important, all of our services are free and confidential because Miami-Dade County, along with roughly 150 or so private businesses, provide the funding that we use to drive the organization and to provide the sampling of services that you see. Probably the most frequent question we get centers around talent and our ability to help connect businesses to talent. But then there's business incentives, there's site selection, there's customized research, other financing programs, and then we get a lot of requests to get connected to leaders in our community, those thought leaders in particular, decision makers who might be aligned with a given business that we're working with. We also know that Miami-Dade has several very strong industry sectors. The ones that are highlighted here represent the 7 that are most dominant as we look at Miami-Dade's economic prospects. We all understand, hospitality and tourism is one of the really strong areas. It's probably been most, impacted by the crisis, particularly those businesses that are related to hospitality, tourism, in the cruise line in particular, in the cruise sector. those have probably been most impacted as a result of COVID-19, although we're starting to see a fair amount of activity right now with tourists starting to return and enjoy all that Miami has to offer. The other sectors there represent just great business opportunities for us. We're seeing a lot of activity in banking and finance right now, and exceptional activity in technology. So I included this slide as a bit of a wake-up call for us as a state and as a region. And so the stars that you see on the map represent those communities that we see a lot of competition from, or opportunities to attract business from. In particular, the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, all represent areas where we have some very significant competitive advantages from a cost standpoint and business climate standpoint. And so we really work to try and bring businesses from that part of the country. And the same can be said for California. Again, a lot of activity with individuals and businesses looking to locate in South Florida and Miami in particular, as a result of some of what's been going on during the COVID crisis. But we do have challenges. Many of the other locations that are listed on this map, especially the 3 in Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, the Carolinas, those are all areas that compete very aggressively with Miami-Dade, and they have many of the same advantages that we have from a business climate standpoint, business taxes, and then they also have favorable costs for residential real estate and things like that. So we are certainly a very attractive location, but we have to always remember that there's pluses and minuses, and this map is a good illustration of places we compete very effectively with, but others that are much more challenging for us to compete with. I thought I would include just a few slides that illustrate some of the project types that we come across. And they really cover a variety of different sectors. Kimry is a high-tech manufacturing operation. They recently added 20 jobs with wages that are significantly above the average wage here in Miami-Dade. And you get an idea of the investment and the amount of square footage. Ex-USIA or Envision, Execute, Empower, Technical Services, 25 jobs, average wages $110,000, and then Payless, e-commerce operation. They're locating a headquarters in North Miami with average wages of about $129,000. Again, a $1.3 million investment. Other projects that have recently completed in Miami-Dade, Blackstone, financial services sector, they are bringing their technical operation here. They really want to focus on tech innovation, and they're adding 215 jobs with average wages of about $200,000. They're active right now, so if you know folks who are in the tech space and looking for opportunities, Blackstone is actively hiring. Ford is really bringing autonomous vehicles to Miami-Dade in a very big way. They launched a couple of years ago in partnership with a company called Argo. That partnership has been extended to a couple other companies now, Roush and PDW Transit. And combined, they're adding about 200 jobs with wages that are very similar to the average that we have here. But a big expansion, about 140,000 square feet and an $8 million investment. And then Landing Gear Technologies, an aviation company, is coming in with 200 new jobs with average wages of about $70,000. And then the last project that I wanted to highlight is one that was announced just a month or so ago, which is ACI Worldwide, or ACI Universal Payments. It's one of the largest payment processing companies in the United States, and they're moving their headquarters to Coral Gables from Omaha, Nebraska. This is a very exciting project, 182 jobs, all paying well above $100,000 average wages. And so these are the kinds of projects that we're seeing, and we're seeing them on a regular basis coming into Miami-Dade. So the balance of the time that I have, I want to talk about some exciting new projects that we have underway. The first is Miami Community Ventures. This is a project that's focused on helping individuals who are primarily economically distressed, and we're helping them gain access to living wage jobs. These would be individuals who are returning citizens, anyone who's receiving any kind of social support, and then individuals who are disabled are the primary audiences that we're focused on. All the individuals are typically living in poverty and coming from communities that are experiencing poverty. And unfortunately, we have too many of those throughout Miami-Dade. The second program that I'll talk about is our Small Business Accelerator. This is a very exciting program that we launched as a result of the economic crisis. We had literally hundreds of small businesses that were contacting us, struggling to get access to many of the funding programs that were available, both from the federal government through the PPP program, the state program, as well as some local dollars. And in many cases, small businesses simply could not get access to those programs, not because they weren't aware of them, but because they really didn't have the infrastructure within their organizations to take advantage, or they didn't have a banking relationship that they needed. And so the Small Business Accelerator intends to help overcome that. And then the last project, Project Opioid, is one that would likely be the headline, but for the COVID-19 crisis, because we have a serious problem in our country and in our community with opioid addiction. And it's creating overdoses at a rate that is absolutely staggering. So we're going to be partnering with Project Opioid and Florida Blue, as well as several other ED organizations around the state, to really try and bring a level of sensitivity and interest and support to solving this problem that really hasn't happened before. So starting off with Community Ventures. So it's a collective impact initiative that I mentioned earlier. We're trying to reach our most economically distressed individuals, typically public assistance recipients, returning citizens, and the disabled. We really have had a wonderful start with this program over the last year and a half or so, helping out nearly 200 individuals throughout the entire county, and in all cases, helping them secure full-time living wage jobs that have just tremendous long-term potential impact as these individuals remain employed and successful in our community. What's really exciting is that we've got some wonderful partners, and Truist Foundation, again, as one of the primary sponsors for this event, we're excited to say that they've been one of our partners for the last 2 years since the pilot run of Community Ventures, and now during our full rollout. So we're really excited to have all the partners that we have there, and they're doing a wonderful job of helping us not only with funding, but in many cases also providing technical assistance and also jobs for some of the individuals that are participating in the program. Here's a look at the distribution. This is just for this year. If I include last year, we're well over 200 jobs that have been placed. But for this year, we've got 62 placements, average wage is about nearly $18 an hour, which is well above our targeted wage, which is about $15 an hour at the living wage here in Miami-Dade County. But again, look at the poverty rates for the communities that we're serving. It's really difficult to understand how a community so prosperous and a country so prosperous could still have poverty rates that are well into double figures, and in many cases, near 50%. So we have a lot of work to do to correct this, and it can be done, but it's going to require partnership of our public sector, our private sector, and of course, all of us as we go about our daily jobs and trying to make a difference in this community. Just a few other activities that are directly tied to Community Ventures that are worth noting. JP Morgan Chase is our largest private funder, and they have a program nationally that they call Advancing Black Pathways that we've been engaged with them over the last year or so, and it's really helping in a number of ways. In addition to funding, they're hosting job fairs that are really helping individuals understand what their employment options are. They include some jobs within traditional banking, but it also includes jobs that are outside of banking to really help with resume writing and preparing for interviews and other things. They have proven to be very effective. They've also begun offering associate banker positions at some of their locations throughout Miami-Dade County. What's really nice about that is that they provide a training program that really helps the individuals prepare for the interviews and to be successful in the jobs. And then they're adding jobs with wages that are well inside of our target of about $15 an hour. And then they also come with benefits. So it's really making a difference for those individuals. The other thing is we've started a whole series of apprenticeship programs in partnership with Miami-Dade College, CareerSource, Florida International University, Florida Blue, the University of Miami, and then a couple of different auto dealerships. Warren Henry and Dean Automotive are the two that we're working with. The idea is to connect individuals who really want to upskill or reskill to get them into some of these apprenticable occupations where they can dramatically increase their wages. For example, someone who wanted to become an auto technician could potentially earn wages between $75,000 and $100,000 after 2 or 3 years in the auto technician program. And so that's a very exciting opportunity that many of our residents just simply don't understand. And because of these partnerships, those jobs are being made available to individuals through Miami Community Ventures. And then lastly, we have individuals that really do have good business ideas, but just need help in launching their business. So through Bank of America, we've launched the Miami Community Ventures Entrepreneurship Track. The focus is primarily on women. And so we expect to be working with up to 10 companies sometime later this year that will all be focused on helping individuals in our most economically distressed communities. Most likely the businesses will be located there. And definitely the individuals who they employ will come from some of our most economically distressed communities. Sorry about that. When you screen share, you get the benefit of having other things that show up occasionally invade the screen. So apologies. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that with the Head Start operation that we have throughout Miami-Dade County, we have partnered with Head Start to begin connecting the Head Start moms to some of the Community Ventures jobs. And I'll share one example with you in the coming slides of an individual who was a part of the Head Start program that's now working with Community Ventures as one of our success coaches. And her job is to help other Head Start moms and other individuals in the program really gain access to some of the living wage jobs. And then the last thing with respect to Community Ventures I wanted to mention is that individuals who are living off of fairly low wages, or in many cases, public assistance, they have real challenges in trying to improve their economic standing because of what's known as benefits cliffs. In other words, some of the benefits that they receive as a result of their current circumstances are lost as they start to earn wages. And logically, that makes sense. The challenge that we have is that those benefits tend to disappear before the individual earns enough income to replace those benefits. So as a result, they end up having to walk away from a job or walk away from a salary increase because the economic benefit is simply not there to allow them to get ahead. And so what we're trying to do by analyzing benefits cliffs is to really come up with solutions that could be addressed through policies at the state, local, and federal level to address these benefits cliffs. What's really nice is that we're working in partnership with a national organization called the LEAP Fund, as well as the Federal Reserve Bank out of Atlanta, their Miami location. So very exciting stuff that we think will make a difference for individuals who are struggling to improve themselves economically. So here's one example of a success story in the Community Ventures program. So meet Michael, a 50-year-old guy who is a returning citizen, spent a significant part of his life incarcerated. And coming out of that situation, it's very difficult to find employment. But because of the partnership that we have with the OIC and with Florida International University, Michael was able to enter into a construction trades program And through the construction trades program, he's been able to find a job as a construction painter, making $26.38 an hour. Michael's comment, this is a great opportunity for me. I'm grateful to FIU Construction Trades for all of their assistance. And again, FIU has been an absolutely amazing partner to us in helping to move individuals like Michael from economic distress into economic prosperity. The second example I wanted to share with you of a success story is Tequila. She was a Head Start parent, mom of 4. She's been placed into a living wage job as one of our success coaches with the Miami Community Ventures program. She's doing an amazing job working with other parents who really are struggling with economic viability. And she's just excited to be a part of the program and really to give back. You know, the idea of helping others become successful, having experienced it, is an amazing way to give back. And Tequila is actually doing a wonderful job for us. And we really appreciate all the difference that she's making in the lives of individuals in the Community Ventures program. The second project that I wanted to talk about is our Small Business Accelerator. And I'm probably more enthusiastic about this than anything else because so many of our small businesses struggled during the COVID crisis. We received a grant from the Rockefeller Foundation that was targeted to Black and Latinx businesses that are really micro and small business enterprises. By definition, we're saying they are fewer than 10 employees and less than $500,000 in revenue. So that's the target audience. The grant that we receive will allow us to support about 100 companies over the next 3 years. And so we think that this is only a starting point. We think that we can raise substantially more money if we're successful with this initial cohort and be able to literally help thousands of small businesses in our community. And the idea is to ensure that when the next crisis happens, whether that's another pandemic or whether it's a hurricane, which we know happens on a regular basis, small businesses shouldn't be forced to struggle the way they've had to this time around. And so the goal is to make sure that they are equally prepared, just as large established companies are, to go after funding sources, to find new customers when their existing customers go away, to pivot their business into other sectors or into new ways of delivering their goods and services. Those are the kinds of things that we'll be working with these businesses in order to achieve. And I mentioned the entrepreneurship track for Community Ventures a little bit earlier that's being driven by Bank of America. So again, it's all about building very high quality technical assistance services into a program that's delivered to small businesses in a way that we historically have not been able to do. Now, this slide is intended to help you understand how we arrived at the approach that we have. And these tiles represent the demand side of the equation. So we were able to connect with about 450 small businesses over the last few months. And those small businesses told us these are the primary services they need. 281 said they need more access to capital. 63 said they need support with accounting and record keeping. 162 said they need help developing business-to-business relationships, and so on, as you can see throughout this particular chart. In other words, these are the services that were most important to the small businesses. And if you look at the categories, the highest numbers, access to capital, B2B referrals, and marketing strategies, really represent the areas that are most in need. And that is helping companies with the funding they need to grow and helping companies find the customers and market to those customers are the things that can make the biggest difference with small businesses here in Miami-Dade County. So in order to address this demand, we identified 22 partners that are currently working with us to actually provide services in those areas. So again, if you look at the tiles, they're exactly the same as on the previous slide, but the numbers are lower. But the numbers represent the number of partners that we've been able to identify that will help us. So for the companies that need access to capital, we have 15 partners out of our 22 that can help them find the capital they need. And of course, so on with respect to all the other tiles. So we've put together this robust tool that's allowing us to understand, first of all, what the small businesses need, and to then work with partners to actually deliver those services to the small businesses. And so how are we looking at success? Well, there's a number of different ways. The biggest, though, is that we really develop comprehensive work plans for each one of the small businesses. And through these partners that we have, is to then document the delivery of those services through completion verification forms that we'll have, and then satisfaction surveys that we'll send out to each of the small businesses to ensure that we delivered on everything that was expected. And these are just some of the participating partners in the Small Business Accelerator program. And again, this list is growing on an ongoing basis. These partners have been with us through the pilot phase and are now with us as we launch into the full phase. And the application for this will actually begin being available on Friday of this week. So we're a couple of days away from the full launch of the Small Business Accelerator. And again, in the initial cohort, it'll be relatively small. But if you have someone that you think should be a part of this, please refer them to us so that we can step up and work with them on growing their business here in South Dade. The final project that I wanted to mention is Project Opioid. And this is what it says. We have a crisis in this country. We have a crisis in Florida. Just think, we had a 59% increase in the number of overdose deaths in Florida in 2019 and 20. And that number appears to be on a increasing trajectory as opposed to decreasing. So it's important that we really work across the business community to try and address this problem. And so we've been in the process of doing that for the past few months, working with our business community, our philanthropic community, and our religious community to try and see, can't we have a positive impact on the opioid crisis that we have. We've got some wonderful leaders that have stepped up to say they're prepared to work with us in order to make this happen. Maria Alonso from the United Way, Sheldon Anderson, the chairman and CEO of Grove Bank and Trust, George Foyo, who is the former chief operating officer at Baptist Health and now with LJ International, and Finney Schaefer, the market president for Florida Blue. They've agreed to be our business partners, our philanthropic partners, and to help us identify faith-based partners who can help us move this initiative forward. I think we all know them. They're very influential, and they're hard at work helping us bring this initiative to fruition. And then we've got a few next steps, and you all will be hearing more about this, especially the business community, as we move forward. We need to continue collecting data around what's happening here in Miami-Dade County. We've got a lot of advocacy channels, as illustrated in the previous diagram, that we need to tap into. And then we're going to be rolling this out over the next 30, 60 to 90 days with a full launch scheduled for roughly the end of August. So more to come. Expect to see a lot of outreach from us to invite you to participate in helping to solve this incredible problem and challenge that we have here in our community. So with that, I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I'd welcome an opportunity to respond to any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was very interesting. I've heard of the Beacon Council. I'm familiar, but just to see all of the different arms of it is amazing. I did have a question, and I know we have a few others that Brittany will ask, but my question is, I know that you work very closely with many organizations locally and business leaders, but if a company wants to consider a relocation anywhere in the country, how do they hear about Miami? What type of work do you do in terms of the outreach when we are not initially on the list for them to consider?
Yeah, that's a great question, Daylan. So as I mentioned earlier in our strategy, it's about market growth shape. So market is that piece where we're doing direct outreach across the United States, really across the world, to try and reach businesses that are in a growth mode. We've got a couple of things that we do in addition to our digital presence that we have via social media and other tools. We actually do a lot of sponsored social media. Like, we all are familiar with it, but you can actually pay in order to reach target audiences that exist. LinkedIn is probably our best resource because it helps us focus on business leaders as opposed to, say, Facebook or Instagram or some of the others that are much more about social friendships and not as focused on business friendships. But we also do direct outreach to businesses that we've identified. And we have a running list of businesses that we know are in a growth mode. In fact, you can go to Dun & Bradstreet or some other tool and identify businesses that are in a growth mode. We then look at the industries that are favorable to Miami: banking and finance, technology, healthcare, et cetera. And we then try and target executives within those industries through LinkedIn or some other marketing tool that we use. And so it's a very detailed process. I'm probably going into too much detail for you right now, but we do that kind of outreach as a way of getting to businesses as they are in a decision-making mode about growth and expansion. Just today, before this meeting, I was on a Zoom meeting with about 40 companies from Spain. We typically do a mission to Spain every year where we go there and we'll meet with 30 to 40 companies that are interested in locating in Miami-Dade. And we do outreach throughout the year to make sure that Spanish-based companies that are thinking about entering the US market understand that we are a great place for them to start. And those companies then show up for our engagement. So today we hosted a virtual mission, just like we're doing right now, so we could tell them all about the opportunities that exist for them to do business here in Miami-Dade. We did record it, so if anyone's interested in learning more, I think we could make it available via the recording so that you'll have an opportunity to have participated in the mission trip. So we do a lot of outreach, both in the United States and throughout the world, to tell Miami-Dade's story as a desirable place for business expansion, growth, and location.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And yes, Mike, absolutely to your point, your LinkedIn presence is outstanding and the reach that you have on that is incredible. One more question that we have in the chat, again, to our attendees. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat or comments or notes. But a question that we have in here is, with the growth of the popularity in autonomous and electric vehicles, do you see any opportunities for businesses interested in providing investment in infrastructure throughout Florida to sustain the needs of drivers throughout the state?
Yeah, the concept of autonomous vehicles is coming, and it's coming fairly fast. So the project that I mentioned earlier with Ford and Argo, it's been around for a couple of years, primarily mapping the community. So they started off in, I think, in the city of Miami, and they have been very aggressively out and about in those vehicles, mapping the community. They're now at a point where they're ready to start growing it. And so it's likely that over the coming years, we're going to see autonomous vehicles on the road doing a lot of what we have typically seen Uber and other delivery services do, as a way of really helping to get some of the vehicles off the road to help with our transportation challenges that we have in this community, as well as other established communities. So autonomous vehicles are likely to grow. As we're talking with our auto dealerships about the apprenticeship program that I referenced earlier, those dealerships are interested in autonomous vehicles because they know it's coming, and they want to train technicians to service those because it will likely be a part of the fleet that they sell. So it's coming fairly fast, and there should be many opportunities for businesses that are interested in being suppliers into that sector to participate. What I would encourage you to do, if you are a supplier that has products that could potentially be sold into the autonomous vehicle sector, is to contact us and let us connect you to Ford and/or others that we may be aware of to see if there might be a business-to-business opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mike. We have another question here in the chat. Regarding industrial properties, with the dwindling warehouse due to new development, what plans are there to assist businesses with the growing needs?
Well, so one of the things that gets missed a lot as businesses are trying to find sites are available public land that we have throughout Miami-Dade County. There are 34 different cities or municipalities in Miami-Dade, and then Miami-Dade County controls, I think, roughly 50% of the balance of the land that's available in Miami-Dade County as unincorporated Dade. And what we're finding is that in many cases, if there's not an intended use for that property, there's an opportunity to talk to those communities about making it available for development. We're happy to work with any developer that's out there looking for opportunities to help them identify properties that may be available in one of our municipalities. So again, the easiest thing to do is to contact us. There's opportunity zones. There's just a lot that that we have the ability to gain access to, that we'd love to work with you as an interested developer to try and identify opportunities. So reach out to us. beaconcouncil.com is the best way to get a hold of us.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, yes, so we're just seeing a couple of notes. FPL is a great partner of the Beacon Council, and you guys have worked with their economic development team, so a shout out from FPL. Also with the Economic Development Council of South Dade, these are just comments that are coming in. And then someone said South Dade has a lot of space, and Atlantic Sapphire, that project in South Dade, shows just one example of that growth potential. I think that's it in terms of questions that are here in the chat. We're right on time because we have to keep these under an hour. So once again, Mike, thank you so much for attending and being our keynote speaker today. Thank you to our sponsor, Truist Bank, David Ramirez, for your comments. And courtesy of our sponsor, this entire presentation was free to the community and free to our members. So we are going to go ahead, and we've been recording the entire thing. We will upload this to our YouTube channel and email that information out to all of our members in the community so that they can watch this presentation again if they need to, and we will include the contact information for the Beacon Council so you can get a hold of Mike and his team if you have any further questions or need assistance or resources. So once again, thank you all for attending and for joining us. Mike, always a pleasure. Hope to see you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.